In this video, we're going to talk about how often you should weigh yourself, measure yourself, check ketones and blood sugar. So stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome to the channel. I'm Marty Brandon, the Keto Coach, helping you lose weight and keep it off with a keto lifestyle. And if you love it and you want more of it, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell. YouTube will let you know when my next video comes out. So how often should you weigh yourself, check your ketones, blood sugar, and all that? Well, we're going to talk about it, but before we do, I want you to put in the comments how you normally weigh yourself. Do you hate the scales? Do you love the scales? Do they hold you accountable, or do they make you want to back off your diet and give up? Let me know in the comments. So should you weigh daily, weekly, monthly? How should you weigh yourself? There's a lot of controversy about this because people aren't taking into consideration one of my favorite sayings. You have to know yourself. I know for me that I do best if I weigh every day. I've weighed almost every day, probably 28, 29 days a month for the last over 2 years that I've been doing this. It's just part of my morning routine. You need to weigh at the exact same time. As soon as you get up and you go potty, you come back and you weigh yourself. Same time every morning, buck naked, and get your weight as accurate as you can. The reason that I weigh daily is because I respond to it positively either way. I know me. I know if it's up, I'm going to be good. I know if my weight's down, I want to be good to get it even lower. And that's how I'm wired. You could be wired totally different. It could be totally discouraging for you. And if it is, then weigh weekly or weigh monthly. But know this, the things that you track will improve. So we're going to talk about a few more things to track along the way, but before I tell you those, I want to tell you the stay to the end of the video, because at the end I'm going to tell you the most important thing about weighing, measuring, tracking ketones, all those things. So I want you to stick around to the end for this one. So when it comes to measurements, in a previous video I told you should measure at the chest at the broadest point, at the belly at the broadest point, around the belly button or something. Your love handle's the worst place you can find. At the waist where your belt would go, and then at the widest point at your butt. And get those measurements so that you have something to come back to and look at, because there are times, especially if you work out hard, that you may not lose weight, but if you take your measurements, you'll know that you've done good even though it's not showing up on the scale because you're smaller. Also, it's good before you start the keto diet to have those measurements so that you can have that reference point of the beginning. And so anytime you hit a weight loss stall and you want to update your measurements, that's a good idea. And then you can compare a month or two later when you feel like you're not losing a lot of weight, you can check your measurements and see if you're losing inches. And this is really important, like I said, if you work out a lot, especially if you work out heavy, like with weights, stair climbers and stuff like that, then you want to have measurements as something to fall back on. Shameless water bottle plug, I am thirsty. I may not be that thirsty if I hadn't just eaten a bunch of hot wings. So ketones, a lot of people measure and track their ketones, and I have two theories on this. I've done it from one extreme to the other. So basically, when you're first starting out, all you're looking for is to be in ketosis. And you can find that out for a few bucks. You can buy, I think it's $15 I pay for 2 bottles of 50 urine ketone strips. And those things are great because when you use them, I don't care if it's the darkest purple or the lightest pink, if it's positive, you're getting fat adapted, you're beginning to run your body on ketones, because that really just measures excess ketones that are coming out in your urine. And what we're looking for is positive. It doesn't matter, because getting a dark purple, I figured out a long time ago, is pretty easy. All you got to do is eat a stick of butter before you go to bed, and you wake up and you pee dark purple on the strip. Obviously your pee's not dark purple, that'd be kind of weird. Might go to the doctor if that was the case. But those strips help you to know that you're fat adapted, you're using ketones for fuel, and you're getting where you're trying to go. I've also done the deep dive and done the ketone blood test where you prick your finger and you put the blood on the deal, and it'll tell you what your ketones are in real time, in your blood, that they're circulating in your body. And this can be useful if you want to dig in a little bit, because what you can do is you can take some different ratios and figure out how things are going well. Actually track if you're above 0.5, then you're in a decent state of ketosis. 1 is better. Anything above that, really, you're probably cramming fat and creating a bunch of ketones, more than you can actually use, which is what causes darker ketones on the P strips. So that's fun to do. It's fun to track. It lets you know that you're staying the course. You can see if you have a small excess of carbs of some kind, so you're doing well, but you decide that you haven't eaten any carbs a day, you're being good, and you're going to use all 20 carbs on this half a piece of cheesecake or something. You can see the next morning what that's done, or that evening before you go to bed. You can check your blood ketones and see if it's knocked you out of ketosis, which isn't the end of the world, and that's going to come up more at the nugget here at the end. Checking ketones is a good thing, and that in conjunction with checking your blood glucose can be a really good tool. So if you're wanting to dig in a little deeper and be a little more complex in your keto diet, what you can do is you can take your ketones and your blood sugar reading and divide them. You divide the blood sugar, so let's say it's 100, by your ketones, let's say it's a 1, then you have a 1 into 100 goes 100 times, you have a 100 ratio, and that comes from Dr. Annette Bosworth. You should go see her stuff. She's great. Dr. Annette Bosworth on YouTube. She calls that the Bos ratio. It's real easy. If you're around 100 to 80, you're probably losing a little weight. If you're 80 or below, you're definitely in weight loss zone. And if you get down in the low numbers, like 40 or 20, which you usually have to fast to get there, then what you'll see is that you're in a state called autophagy, which is where your body does some house cleaning, finds bad proteins, weird cells, stuff like that, retires those, uses them up, and then creates new ones to replace them that are new and young and healthy. And that can be very powerful for drawing your skin back up and doing different kinds of maintenance and repair in your body. It can be very helpful. So be sure that if you're going to get into this, you go ahead and compare the two and divide them out, and you can learn a lot about how things are going. That's my thing on ketones. Either do it real simple and just make sure you're in ketosis from time to time, check it, or you can get real deep into it and really track it. And that's fun, and I did it for a long time, but after a while it gets boring because I'm always in ketosis. I always have low blood sugar, and so it's not exciting anymore. But in the first year and a half, I tracked it really tight, and I kept a good eye on it, and it helped me get where I was going. So that's a good thing to do. So in order to do that Bos ratio, I said you need to get your blood glucose level. So this is a cheap tool that you can buy at your drugstore. $20, $25, you can buy a little meter. They'll usually give you some sample strips, and then you go back and get more of the strips. That's really the deal. They'll give you almost the meter if you'll buy the strips, because only that brand of strips fits to that meter. But it's a really inexpensive thing to do, and it is a good thing to do to track your blood sugar, because this is the blood sugar lowering way of life. And so what you want to do is take your blood sugar as soon as you wake up, even before you take your first bathroom break, and weigh. You want to check your blood glucose. Blood glucose, it will come down over time considerably. I took mine the other day in the afternoon after I'd eaten my one meal that day, and it was 86, which is phenomenal for an old guy to have that good of a blood glucose number. And it could get even better, because I know people that are running in 60s and 70s after they've done this a couple years. One of the main things about checking your blood sugar is that you can take, in the beginning, check your blood sugar in the morning. If it's 120, 130, or even higher, and you're really insulin resistant, and you're not getting results, you're going to know that you're metabolically unwell because of that high number. And if you are metabolically unwell, you are in fat storage mode because you have a lot of insulin. And if you have a lot of insulin and you're in fat storage mode, it's hard to lose weight. So what happens is you track your blood sugar so that over time, you're not even looking to lose weight. You're looking to create some metabolic health, get insulin to come down, get blood sugars to come down, and get out of fat storage mode. Then you're going to enter fat burning mode. Ketosis kicks in, and you will begin to burn fat, and the weight loss will pick up. And I talked about that in my last video. So having your blood glucose readings in the beginning are very, very important because you can see where you are for one thing, and you can track it and see where you're headed, but you can also know why maybe you're not losing weight when you first start out on the diet or the weight loss lifestyle. So before we get to my nugget, let me ask you to do me a favor and hit the like button. Comment down below. I ask you to comment and tell me how you feel about measuring and weighing yourself, checking ketones and stuff. Give me some of that information. Share this with someone you know who could use this information to improve their life. And if you love it and you want more of it, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell. YouTube will let you know when my next video comes out. So with that, let's get back to it. So for the little nugget I wanted to give you today, and really the whole point of this video for me, is for you to understand that it's not about the scale. Yes, we want to lose weight, and yes, we want to feel better. But what I really want you to take away from this video is that it's not the scale, it's the map and the compass. So you have where you are, and on that map down the road, there is an X where you want to be. And that map may have some winds and some turns, and it may have some hills and some valleys, but as long as that compass is pointed in the right direction and you stay the course, you end up where it is you're trying to go. And so what I really want you to know out of this video is if you get your arrow turned and you stay the course, whether it shows up on the scale every day, every week, every month, or every quarter, it doesn't matter. As long as you're on the path to where you want to go and you don't turn around and you stay the course and you stick with it, over time, you're going to lose what you need to lose. You're going to feel amazing, I promise that. Your energy is going to stabilize. Great things are going to happen to your blood sugar, things like carpal tunnel and allergies and all kinds of autoimmune things. I would just say that you need to weigh often enough to track it so you can improve it. You need to measure things so that when you don't know if you're doing good or not, you can have another place to check. You can check your blood or your urine for ketones and blood sugar, and these things are going to help you. But the most important thing, the thing, is that you get your arrow pointed in the right direction and you stay the course long term. And with that, I love you, and I'll see you in the next one.